Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today we want to knit threaded lace on a Brother bulky knitting machine. I have a Brother 260 knitting machine. You only need a knitter. You don't need a ribber for this stitch. I have my ribber attached, but I just cover it with some cloth so it doesn't get caught easily. According to my instruction book, you can use the punch card number 1, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15P. And I believe the P is for the bulky machine, and they have a different set from the standard gauge knitting machine. And I'm going to use number 13P for the Brother punch card. And I already did the sample. That's what it looks like for the 13P. And this is the front side. And that's the back side. And for threaded lace, you can see there are a lot of holes in the center area. And I think it creates interesting texture. And it's very easy to knit. You will need two different yarns. One is thicker, one is very thin, like a lace. Because we're using a bulky machine, the thicker one can be DK weight or worsted weight. I start with the blue one, that's the thicker yarn, and end it with a few rows of plain knitting with the white yarn, that's the thin yarn. Because this seems a little bit bulky to me, I'm wondering what will two thin yarn look like for threaded lace. I'm going to place the same punch card back to the machine. It's number 13P. Basically, you just turn the dial here. And there are three symbols here. The center one is the normal knitting. The circle in the bottom is for holding position, so the pattern will not advance to next row. And the long triangle means the pattern will be double length, so it will look elongated. And to make the pattern continuous, we just need to attach the beginning and the end and use the little piece to hold them together. Now you'll be in a continuous loop. And you can adjust it by turning the dial. And let's go back to the first row. See the line here? The number 1 will have that align here to this line. If you have a thicker and a thinner yarn, the thicker one is the main one on the right, the thinner yarn will be on the left. And just thread it normally, the thinner one goes to the left side from here, here, and go up to this one. And you can always clip it here when you are not using it. And I'm going to replace the thicker yarn with this one that's a little bit thinner, because I try to make my fabric not too dense. And I'm also going to increase the tension here. Last time I have it on number 7, I will change to number 8. The next thing is to cancel the needle selection mechanism. Basically, you take off the whole carriage first. So I have it on CR all the way to the top. Take it out and then move the dial to KC and we turn it over. And that's the back side. And you can see this is the piece we have to work on. Use your 1-prong tool and then turn the black dot here. Change this to non-working position so it doesn't select the outermost needle. And you can just use the 1-prong tool and turn it. You can lift up and down with this one. When it's all the way down, you can turn toward the center, the left one toward the right, and the right one you can turn toward the left. That will lock it and make it into a non-working position. And when you do the opposite direction, you will return to the working position. The whole piece can come out like that. So that's what we want, to make it into a non-working position by turning these two pieces. And then we can reverse it to return to the working position again. Change the dial back to CR and just slide it into the machine. And then dial it back to N for normal knitting. And I place on the right side, set my tension. I have number 8 here. And we will start with a few rows of plain knitting. And you can decide how many needles you want. I pick out about 30 stitches. And I will do simple E-rub and knit a few rows of plain stitches with my orange color yarn. I hand some weight and continue knitting a few rows of plain knitting. When we are ready to start the punch card knitting, we can park the carriage on the left side and make sure this dials to the circle, means it's on hold. Then we can change the dial from normal to KC. So you engage the punch card. And we just need one row from left to right. You should pick up the stitches. Now we see pick up some stitches. And next we just have to press the MC button here, both top and bottom at the same time, like that. And for the punch card, we will start the normal knitting. So press this one to the center, the triangle. And we will start the second yarn. I have it on the left side. It's a little bit thinner. And just thread it normally on the left side. And it goes to the B position. The first one, A, goes to the back. And you can close it. And the second one goes to B. You just slide into the B position. And we can start knitting back and forth. And for the first row, you want to hold the yarn with your hand, or you can place a clip to keep it down. So this is the first row with 2 yarns, and we'll just keep going back and forth. You can see both white and orange color. And I'm going to keep going for about 58 rows because that's how many rows I have on my punch card. After you finish the length you want, you can just knit a few rows of plain knitting. And you can use any yarn or you can use both yarns. And to return to the plain knitting, first you can move the KC dial back to N, that's for normal knitting. And you can also check here, back to normal. That means these 2 buttons are back to the normal position. And for the punch card, you can go back to the lock position, the 1. Even if you don't do that, it's not going to change because you already changed the KC to N, so this one is not engaged anymore. Now we just have to knit back and forth a few more rows. So I cut off the white yarn and just continue with peach color and knit a few rows of plain stitches. I will bind off and take it off machine. You don't have to bind off because this is just a sample. You can bind off any way you like. I'm just used to this type of bind off. Transfer and place the yarn in the hook and just knit it. Transfer to next stitch, place the yarn in the hook and knit. So this is the final one. That's the thinner yarn. Both of them are about the same thickness. I would say it's about socks weight yarn. And for this one of the yarn is thicker, maybe DK weight. And this is the front side. This is the back side. You can decide which side you want to be from. And you can see all the holes. It's very pretty. And it's very easy to knit. You don't need a lace carriage for this one. I really like the thinner yarns and the bigger gauge better. The fabric is softer. And I can see this as a scarf. You can make it wider and longer. It'll be a nice scarf or blanket or baby blanket. Thank you for watching today, and talk to you next time.